My friend, if you've ever had that moment, maybe you've been feeling this way lately, where you look around and you think, I hate this. I literally hate my life. I don't want to do this anymore. I want you to know, first of all, that you're not alone. This is actually not uncommon for people to feel this way or think these things at various points in their lives. I've certainly been there. And secondly, this can actually be a very important transformational moment that has the opportunity to change a lot of different things for you if you know how to use it intentionally. And so in today's episode, we're going to walk through the exact steps to help you unpack what is not working, get super clear on what you do want, and then map out a realistic, doable plan to start creating the kind of life experience that you're actually excited to wake up to. So, make yourself a tea, grab your notebook, and get settled, and then we'll do this together. If this is your first time tuning in, I am Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby, and this is the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast. I know that when you're actually in this space and looking around and you're like, this all sucks. I hate everything. I want to burn it all down. I want to eject myself from this planet because none of this is working. That is a crappy feeling, okay? Because, you look around, it's like, ugh, where do I even start, right? There's so many things that aren't working, and that is a hard place to be in. But the thing that I think most people don't fully appreciate is the fact that this is often where real, actual, transformational, life-changing growth starts. Motivation for change comes from pain and dissatisfaction. A lot of people don't like that idea. We want to think that growth and personal evolution and self-development, these are all really positive things. And we go skipping down this path and have a great time along the way. Most people don't really start thinking about what the hell am I doing and how am I going to change this without getting into this place where they really are incredibly unhappy. There can be so much value and a real launch pad from this place of, I do not want to do this anymore. I am unwilling to continue being involved in whatever this is. What I have been doing is not working. The outcomes that I am creating do not feel sustainable to me. And so I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do differently because I'm no longer willing to tolerate this. And so that's the first thing that I want you to know is that even though this is not a comfy space to be in, nobody loves this, this can be where everything changes, and you are in the right spot here with me today. So I'm so glad you're here, and I really hope that you get some actionable things out of this podcast to start doing something differently with this, because being in that space of, I hate my life, it's not a life sentence, does not mean this is over. It's just a wake-up call. You're saying I can't do this anymore. And maybe that's valid, right? So when you get to this space, it means that something is not working and that a deeper part of you is trying to get your intention. And maybe it's being a little bit dramatic. Maybe it's saying, I hate my life, but whatever. It's gotten your attention, and that is all that matters, because this kind of thought, this thinking, it's almost like it's like a flare gun, right? As you shot up from your deepest self that's saying, I no longer wish to participate in whatever this is. Get me off the bus, right? And it's just, we have to hit that wall sometimes before we can take a look at our lives. So once you have had this realization, this like, oh God, what am I going to do kind of moment, the next step here is to give yourself some time and some space to think about what you would like to have be different. And this involves some reflection. There are a lot of different ways to do reflection. You can journal your thoughts and feelings. You can certainly talk to a therapist or a coach or a trusted friend. You can talk to the duck if you don't know what I'm talking about. Check out my recent episode on overthinking, where we discussed that strategy in detail. But the goal is for you to start having that conversation where you can articulate the kinds of things that you are unhappy with, and not vague. I mean specifics. Like, is it your job? If so, what specifically do you not like about your job? What about this is not working for you? Is it the type of work you're doing? Is it how much money you're making? Is it your boss's face? I mean, like, what is it? Also, your relationship. Right? Is it what's going on in the space between you and your partner? Is it your communication? Is it your emotional connection or lack thereof? Does it feel like there's an energy imbalance in the sense that you feel like you're doing more of your fair share than your partner is, and that's creating feelings of resentment? Is there, a lack of emotional safety, lack of emotional intimacy? I mean, there can be so many things, but just think about it and make a list. We could do bullet points, whatever you want, but what is not working? And there are other dimensions of life, right? Life is not a monolith. The recipe for a happy life ultimately involves a lot of different things: your relationship, your career, your relationship with yourself, right? Like, how's that going? How do you feel about yourself? Your health, actually, the way that you're taking care of your health, your energy levels, that can have a lot to do with this. Even your social life, do you feel connected to other people? Do you have nice friends? Are you having fun? I think we don't ask that question enough, especially as we get to a certain stage in life. Am I having a good time? And at least a little bit. We can't always have fun maximally every second of every day, but I think you should be having at least a little bit of fun, right? If that is a value that is important to you. What is it that is making this not feel good? Or is it, and this is a thing that happens, right? Is that we get to a certain place and we just start I don't know, things happen, right? You meet somebody, okay, let's do this, move in together, look up 5 years later, and you're in a relationship is not quite working, or a career a lot of times. Somebody offered you a job at a moment that you needed to do something. You're okay. And then you are 10 years into a career that you never actually really chose with intention, that maybe doesn't really fit with you. And, it is so incredibly easy for our lives to get filled up with all kinds of things that we never actually chose, we don't actually like that much, that aren't really working, and that have nothing to do with who we really are, who we want to be, what our values are, what brings us meaning and purpose and joy. There can be a lot of disconnection that can feel really bad, particularly if that is happening in more than one domain. If your relationship feels like a dumpster fire and you hate your job and you haven't, taken care of your body, you're not exercising, you're not sleeping, your energy is low, that can feel like a lot to tackle all at once, right? And so it's understandable that you would be feeling kind of overwhelmed by the whole thing, right? But the starting point is simply to get it all down. These are the things I am unhappy about. Make a list. Okay, now, once you have your list, then you have the opportunity to flip it. Like maybe one side of the page, here are all of the things I hate about my life. But on the other side, and maybe even in contrast, we can write, here's how I want this to be different. And again, get specific. Do not say, I want a better relationship. Get specific. I want to have emotionally intimate conversations with my partner where I can talk about my feelings and they can hear me. And I feel like they get me and I feel cared for. Or I want to be in the kind of relationship where we are having physical intimacy that is mutually enjoyable at least 3 days a week. Like, I don't care what it is, but it is, what do you want? And then challenge yourself to be able to articulate that. Because this is goal setting in its rawest form. Like when you get honest about what feels intolerable, then you must challenge yourself to think about what you want instead. And that kind of clarity begins to create direction for you, right? Particularly if you can pair that up with why what you want matters. How is this attached to your values, your higher purpose, the meaning of your life? Like, here's why I want this to be different. Maybe you want peace, real love, purpose, whatever it is, that kind of clarity, that is a gold mine, particularly if you can challenge yourself to get specific around, if I had that, what would be different, like in my life? Be detailed. Okay, so once you have that, then you can start thinking about obstacles. Obstacles are another thing that gets a bad rap. We don't like thinking about obstacles. We want things to be easy. I get that. I want things to be easy too. But there is a reason why you don't have whatever the thing is that you want to have already, because there's some kind of obstacle in your way. And until you get clear about what that obstacle is, you will not be able to develop a meaningful action plan that will help you manage that obstacle in an effective way so that your life can actually be different. So the next question here is, what is in the way? What is stopping you from having what you want? And now sometimes there can be external obstacles. I cannot live in Denmark because of money or whatever. Okay. Sometimes not having enough time, responsibilities, lack of support. If you want to create a certain outcome with a partner who is like objectively not interested in doing out any of that with you, like that can potentially be an obstacle. But it's also real easy to get fixated on external obstacles. These are all of the ways that I am being obstructed by all of these different things. Therefore, I cannot possibly create any changes in my life. And sometimes that is true, or at least partially true. But in my experience, what is almost always a bigger obstacle and a more powerful obstacle, a more problematic obstacle, but also an obstacle that is much more directly in your power to deal with and change, are internal obstacles. And internal obstacles, man, that's where the action is. So the way that you are thinking about a situation is the obstacle. How you are talking to yourself about a situation can be an obstacle. How you are perhaps limiting the options that you have is an obstacle. Like limiting beliefs is huge. Lack of clarity even can be an obstacle. But also another really big obstacle for many people that they do not even know is an obstacle is something called a skills deficit. This is something that we actually talk about a lot in evidence-based coaching psychology, of which I am a practitioner. I do a few things. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm a psychologist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but I am also a very proud board certified coach. And a big part of good coaching is really getting a handle on these internal obstacles and in particular skills deficits, because there are a lot of things that can create huge problems in our lives because we do not yet know how to do certain things. We don't know how to solve a problem. We don't know how to communicate differently with our partner in a way that would get us better results in return. We don't know how to restructure our professional experience, have a courageous conversation with a boss, or we don't know how to, even something as simple as like time management and personal productivity skills. If you don't have those and you are in a job that requires some proficiency in that in order to like have things work, you're going to have a really bad time at your job. Right? It's going to feel unsustainable for you. And so perhaps you're not in the wrong career. Perhaps you're not working for the employer. Perhaps there is a skills deficit that is the obstacle standing in the way between you really being able to be successful in this particular professional role. Right now, it feels like everything is burning down. It isn't going well at your job. You're getting negative feedback. It feels like this plane is on fire, falling out of the sky. And that might be true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the wrong career, that you have the wrong job. It could be that there's a skills deficit. So again, I don't want to belabor this, but this is something that a lot of people just do not have visibility into. I think it's frequently much easier to see external obstacles, particularly when they take the form of other people. Like in relationships, you probably have a very clear and well-developed understanding of all of the ways in which your partner is not behaving in the way that you would like them to, or is feeling like the obstacle to the kind of relationship that you want to have. Like that can be a lot more clear than being able to get some insight into yourself. Being like, yeah, I guess I do that, right? That isn't working that well. Maybe I should learn how to handle this differently, and that would help me get more of what I want and less of what I don't want. That is hard to see into. And so, you can absolutely do that through the journaling exercises that I have been suggesting to you. And here's the power question, okay? If you really want to get insight into your own obstacles, your internal obstacles, the question to ask is, what is it about me? What is it about the way that I am currently operating that is contributing to this outcome? This is a challenging question, right? And it is so illuminating. And I do not in any way, shape, or form intend for this to turn into a session where you beat yourself up and get mad at yourself and like, these are all of the ways that I am failing and I'm the worst human in the history of the world. Like that is not productive. But to be thinking about, you know what, I guess I probably could handle some of these situations differently. Or, if it is, I literally don't know what to do differently, perhaps then the answer is maybe I need to figure out what I need to do differently, because that is a solvable problem. Somebody might have written a book on that topic. Maybe there are YouTube videos like somewhere, someone knows how to have a more successful outcome and whatever the thing is than you currently do. And this is a learning opportunity. This is a growth and learning opportunity. Someone has walked this path before and can be a guide who can show you how to get from A to Z. But it turns into how am I creating this outcome? Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I could do differently. Or if I don't yet know what to do differently, how am I going to find somebody who can teach me and coach me and help me learn? That's all this is, right? So you do not have to have a shame-fueled meltdown, okay? This is just turning it into a reality-based thinking process around what are my options. And now I will also say that these are clear steps that you can take. Anybody can do these. Journal, talk to your friend, talk to yourself, talk to the duck, get it all out in the open. And it can also be helpful to do this work with a professional coach like me or like people in my practice, because there are so many things that we don't know that we don't know. It can be hard to know what kinds of questions to ask ourselves. And just to be able to untangle all of this, get clear on what it is that you want, how is that attached to your values, right? Why is it important to you? What are the goals? What are the roadblocks? Because then step by step, you can turn that into an action plan where like, okay, here's what I'm going to do this week in order to start getting closer to my goal. Because the other thing here is that in order to have anything be different in your life, you will have to take action. You cannot expect to get different results if you keep doing the same thing. That is me paraphrasing Tony Robbins from back in the day, but it's true. And I think that this can actually be a real limitation of traditional insight-oriented talk therapy that is designed to get you insight. You have to have some insight in order to have self-awareness, in order to have compassion, in order to just understand yourself. Like these things are really, really valuable. But thinking about things is not enough. Knowing why you are the way you are is not enough. You also need to translate that into, so here is specifically what I need to do differently today in order to take a micro step towards the future that I would like to be living in 3 months from now or 6 months from now. That you are evolving into a different person. You are the kind of person that learns and grows and develops themselves, and that is a very, very active process. So that is what evidence-based coaching is all about. That is the framework. And I also just want to say out loud that to be having these kinds of realizations and conversations with yourself, there is zero shame, zero judgment. There is nothing to be sad about, mad at yourself about, upset with yourself about, mad at other people about, okay? Like this is the life experience. This is what it feels like to be a human who is in a certain, life experience that is not ideal and who would like something different. That's all this is. And I will also tell you that every single human in the history of the world has either done exactly this work in some way, shape, or form, or has remained stuck in a place where they feel really sad and really miserable. So those are basically the choices. And personally, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I have been at one of these junctures in my own life where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And so, it doesn't have to be all of the everything that feels like it's on fire. Maybe it's small things, but just like, this is not working for me. I don't want to do this anymore. So what do I need to do differently? What am I doing that is creating this outcome? And what do I need to learn? What do I need to think about? What decisions do I need to make? And if I do have external obstacles, how am I going to manage those effectively? So really, like there's nothing to be mad at yourself about here. And I just say that because sometimes, and I say this as a therapist, particularly if somebody is struggling with like a depression-y kind of mindset, it can turn into, what does it mean about me that I haven't already done this thing, or that everybody else knows how to do this thing except for me, right? And shame-based, right? Like wanting to judge yourself, criticize yourself. And I mean, I guess you could do that if you want to, right? And be on the radar, because like if you are stuck in this really persistent, like shame-based, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, I'm the most hopeless human being in the history of the world, everybody else can do this except for me, what is wrong with me? Like that can be the voice of depression, as in a clinically significant major depressive episode that does require not coaching, but psychotherapy. If you're experiencing clinical levels of depression, then you do need to get behavioral health care, because there's a treatment for depression. And the gold standard of that treatment is typically some iteration of cognitive behavioral therapy that gives you visibility into the way that you're thinking, gives you some strategies to be able to change the way that you are thinking, to create new possibilities, get your thoughts under control, but it also goes into behavioral ways to reduce symptoms of depression, frequently through exercise, more commonly even through some nutritional interventions, like go back into my podcast feed and listen to the one that I did on metabolic psychiatry with Dr. Brett Scher. That was super interesting. So sometimes changes to your health, like positive changes, can change the way that you feel. It can reduce psychiatric symptoms, quite frankly. So anyway, there are a lot of different ways to handle this. But if your big obstacle is depression and that your thinking is not really working right now, that you keep falling into shame, helplessness, hopelessness, the answer to that and the action step is to get clinical mental health treatment. So that is the path forward. And then once your depressive symptoms are resolved, then you can get back into more of a coaching mindset, which is, okay, what do I need to do differently in order to create different outcomes? You won't really be able to do that if you are dealing with a major depressive episode. So just know that. Okay. And I will also say, as we are wrapping up our conversation here, that sometimes when we're feeling this way, it is a deeper issue. Because, I mean, I would say in my experience with the clients that I work with, probably a solid 75% of the time, if somebody rolls in and is like, I hate my life, it's because they're feeling really frustrated, right? They don't want to do this anymore. They do not like this. And this is a good thing. I mean, it doesn't feel good in the moment when you're experiencing it, but trust me, this is a good thing because frustration is activating. It is motivating. You can work with frustration. You can harness this because this is what gives you the energy to say, I hate this. And therefore, I am going to invest the time, the energy, maybe even the money to figure out how to do this differently, to create a new action plan, and to make that happen. I'm motivated. So frustration is good. It's your friend. But sometimes, if it is really attached to these feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, what's the point? Like, I just want to get off this train completely and not even, like be here anymore. So, I just want to mention this because if this is where you are, it is more than frustration. It is a sign of depression. And that also is nothing to be ashamed of. It just means that your brain, maybe your body needs some help. There is treatment for this that is very effective, and you don't have to do it alone. So psychotherapy can really help. And when you get into good treatment, you can feel better. So that is one of the punchlines of this conversation, is that whether or not you need a coaching model that's going to help you figure things out and solve some problems and learn some new skills and move forward, there's help for you. Or if you need mental health treatment, there is help for that too. But either way, you do not need to pathologize your pain, and feeling really bad about your life right now doesn't mean that anything is necessarily wrong with you, okay? If you do have depression, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with you. It means that you have depression that requires treatment. That's okay. Or it means that on the other side of this, you are feeling incredibly frustrated and unhappy, and you are finally waking up to the fact that something important in your life isn't working, that you've reached some kind of limit, and that limit is a doorway to change, which is really good. And you do not have to pathologize your pain. In this case, you need to listen to it, honor it, and let it lead you somewhere new. Because these feelings are not the end of the story, literally the beginning of a new chapter, if you allow it to mobilize you into action. So how to do this? If you're sitting in the dark right now, listening to this podcast, you have your tea, you have your notebook, maybe I hope you've written down some of those journaling prompts, the questions to be asking yourself, the things to be thinking about, and you're ready to do something here. You're ready to light a match and start actively creating a different life experience. I'm here for you. We are here for you at Growing Self. In my practice, so it's a group private practice, I have a bunch of licensed therapists on my team who practice, like me, evidence-based coaching psychology and who specialize in big life transitions. And just to tell you, my practice, Growing Self, is not the place to go for clinical mental health treatment. Even though everybody on my team, like myself, is a licensed therapist, it is actually not what we specialize in here. We specialize in growth, love, happiness, and success by using evidence-based coaching models to help people just like you channel all this frustration and get clear on what do you want to do differently, and then how are you going to make it happen. That is what we do here in my practice, and I'm happy to do this with you. You could work with one of the clinicians on my team, or I actually have something really, really, really special that just started happening really recently in my practice, but could be the opportunity of a lifetime for you. So I, as you know, I'm a therapist who specializes in coaching psychology, and I'm also a clinical supervisor of other therapists. And I, not too long ago, because I'm so passionate about therapists learning and practicing coaching psychology, I launched a coaching certification program exclusively for licensed therapists who are excellent therapists to learn how to do coaches and become board certified coaches, which is a coaching credential that is typically for therapists. It comes from the National Board of Certified Counselors. I mean, this is like real deal gold standard coaching credential for therapists who want to do this well, take it really seriously. So I launched this coach training program. And as part of this, the clinicians that I do this with, they're going through an educational program, 30 hours of instruction, group classes, but they also have the opportunity to do an 8-week-long practicum experience, an internship with my practice Growing Self, where they can work with coaching clients in order to develop coaching competencies and get to practice the things that we're learning about in our program and learn how to do this really, really well. And this is not a beauty school haircut, by the way. These are excellent licensed therapists who know exactly what they're doing. They have a ton of competencies, depth, insight, evidence-based models. They really understand things. And they've also just gone through my educational coach training program. But now they're here to put the pieces together and practice. And so why am I telling you this? What this means for you is that you have opportunities to work with these coach interns in my practice for like a fraction of the cost of what is involved if you were working with any one of these people in their solo private practices. So like at the start of this cohort, you get 8 weeks of working with these people, one-on-one private sessions, working through the kind of coaching process that we've just been talking about today for like 25% of what these exact same people are going to be charging 9 weeks from now once they're done with this internship. This is an amazing opportunity for you. And so if you've been kind of on the fence about doing some coaching, like wanting to do something, but it feels like one of your big obstacles is related to money, well, I am just taking that excuse away from you. That obstacle is no longer there. You could do 8 weeks of one-on-one coaching for less than $400 through this program. So anyway, if you want to get in on this, come to my website, growingself.com, and you'll look for the Clarity and Confidence Coaching Program, or you can just schedule a consultation with our connection coordinator who can tell you more about this program, help you get connected with one of our program coaches. Now, the only thing to know about this is that this practicum is happening like in a cohort model. So we start a new one of these every 8 weeks. So what we do is we, like if you wanted to do this, we would get your information. We would think about what coach would be a good fit for you. And then you might have to wait a few weeks before that practicum to start in order to start having your sessions with this coach. That is the one thing to know. It's not like a kind of thing that you can jump into anytime. It is an 8-week deal. So anyway, just know that. Okay, but I wanted to tell you about that because I'm super excited about it. And I think it's a wonderful way of being able to do some of the things that we've been talking about with the support of a coach. But whether or not you work with a coach or work with a coach in my practice, I hope you have a framework that will help you get unstuck. Use this moment where you're like, I hate my life, into what am I going to do about this? And the steps are, first of all, get clear about what you don't like and what you don't want. Make your list, and then clarify what you do want. What you want instead, write it down. Then you have to identify your obstacles. What is holding you back? Is it an external obstacle, an internal obstacle, or is it a skills gap? All of those are solvable problems, but you have to understand what you're dealing with, because then once you do, you can take a look at each one of those obstacles and start developing an action plan that is real and doable. And from there, you can implement that action plan so that every single day you are doing something about it. You are taking positive action that begins building a life that you are going to love waking up to. Does it happen overnight? No. In my experience, creating substantial change, particularly in multiple domains of life, is going to be a project that will at the very least take you a few months, okay? So manage your expectations. If it's real big stuff, it might take you a year or more, and it is worth doing. It's going to be a year from now anyway, right? And you're either going to be doing exactly the same thing that you're doing right now and feeling bad about, or you're going to have done the work, put in the effort, taken the action to create a materially different life experience that you will be enjoying a year from now. So it's gonna happen anyway. You might as well be living a life that you really enjoy. You don't have to stay stuck. There is a roadmap. There is a path forward. Other people have done this. There is a way of creating change in all of these areas, and you do not have to do this alone. If you would like my support or the support of my team, or to get involved with this coaching program, we're here for you. Come to growingself.com. You can schedule your free consultation to get matched with the right solution. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So big orange buttons all over my website is an easy way to get started right this very second. And let us support you, because your hard reset starts right now. So I hope that this podcast was helpful for you. I hope you have clarity. I hope you have direction. I hope you have a lot of actionable things that you can start doing and thinking about just from listening to this today. And I hope that you also have a sense of the options that are available for you if you would like to get some more support. So thanks for being here with me. And very lastly, if this resonated for you, like if you heard some things that you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about this before, or, yeah, I think this is the right path. And especially if this made you think of someone in your life who could benefit from hearing these ideas, share this. Forward it to 3 people in your life that are maybe feeling a little bit stuck. Maybe they've been stuck in therapy, right? Not knowing that maybe they really need more of a coaching approach and they need to hear that. So share this. Post it, help me help other people understand what's really going on and how to create change in their lives. And of course, subscribe to the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast so that you stay connected with me, so you don't miss what's coming down the pipeline. And above all, keep going, right? You don't feel good today, and This motivation will change your life trajectory and create a different future. You are a strong person. You are a growth-oriented person. You can do hard things. That is why you're listening to this podcast, is because you know that. And I know that. You know that I know that. So let's just do this. You can make this happen. And, sometimes when we're feeling bad, it can be easy to forget that, right? To forget how capable we really are, how many options we really do have, and that through hard work and motivation and a belief in having more things really be possible, there are so many more options. And that even if today is not great, you can build a better future.